Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year, and welcome to the museum show and tell show. I'm your host, Nicole, and I'm here with Jan and Genevieve. And we're very happy to be presenting today. As you know, museums have now been closed. We're part of the Ontario restrictions. But as for right now, some of us are still able to work with the collection and bring you the shows. So we'll see how long we're in closures and see how long we can keep this show up. But we really want to bring this to you, especially right now, because you can't visit museums in person. So for today's episode, Jan is the one that did challenge, and she challenged to find an artifact that kind of makes you feel good or makes you feel happy when you look at it. So Jan, what is your artifact that you have today?
Okay, I'll just say first that for everyone who's watching, red is not our museum uniform color. I just realized we're both wearing red. Green is actually our color. Anyway, so I'm upstairs right now in the museum, and I am at our ladies' hat display. So I know we have talked about the gentleman's top hat before, so today we're going to focus on the ladies. So for the Victorian era, fashion and hats were, definitely quite prominent. They like to do everything big, right? So hats also became big, although sometimes they weren't as big. I'll explain that. So apparently the fashion changed rather rapidly during the time, and hats were made for everything from walking. You wore a hat out when you were walking. You wore a different hat if you were out riding in a carriage. You wore a different hat if you were just shopping, and you would even have a hat for maybe just wearing in your home if you were receiving guests. And the style changed, like I said, quite frequently, with crowns going from very high to being more squat, wide brims to narrow brims, hats that tied under your chin with ribbon, ones that were held with hat pins, and some that just kind of gripped the side of your head. They had these two little loops that just kind of gripped on. So there was a variety of all these hats. During the summer months, hats were generally woven from straw, and pardon my back for a sec. So we do have a couple of examples I'll just show you. So this is a straw hat. I don't know the year or anything about it right at the moment, but you can see definitely it's not lined. So some of the summer hats were lined, but most were not. Okay. And then we would go on to a more elaborate winter hat. So the winter hats, this one would have probably been a hat pin one because it doesn't have a chin tie. But winter hats were generally produced using felt or velvet and were lined with silk or satin. So this one is lined with satin. Okay, so there's one with a great big plume on it. So the Victorians were much into bringing nature into the home and also into their fashion. And hats were no exception for that rule. They were heavily adorned with feathers and lace and ribbons, even small branches, and perhaps a bird's nest. And even you would see a dead bird perched on the hat. And I'm sure these birds were taxidermied. I don't think you just found a dead bird and stuck it on your hat. Your hat wouldn't last very long. That would be pretty disgusting. But so they had these dead birds perched on their hats. So this one here, pardon me, this is my favorite hat in our collection. I think it's really cute. It's like a little sailor hat, and it reminds me a lot of my Sunday school hat when I was little. So this one is made from linen, and it's decorated with some flowers. There's a bit of moss here. There's some artificial sticks, some plastic grapes, so all kinds of wonderful things. And it's etched in some embroidery. And it is also lined, even though it's probably more of a summer hat, it is lined. This one, as you can see in the bottom, you'll be interested in this, Genevieve. Can you read the bottom?
Yes. Oh, it's from W.E. Preston.
Yes. So it's from W.E. Preston. And this was a store that was operated by W.E. Preston and James Playfair in Midland, and they went into business together in 1895. And it's reputed to be one of the largest and best small town department stores in all of Canada. So you probably know a lot more about Preston than I do, but yeah, this hat was purchased in Midland.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah, I love it. So that is our display today and our little venture into Victorian hats.
Neat. Wonderful. And I know that you really liked that hat whenever you would see a display. And did you know all along that it was made in Midland, or did you just discover that when you went to look at it today? I just
discovered it this morning when I went to learn a little more about it, because I've always been drawn to that hat. I love that hat. And I love our whole display. We have such a variety of hats in here. And yeah, it wasn't until this morning, though, that I discovered it was a W.E. Preston hat. And then I had to go searching online. Who's Preston? And like the name was familiar, but I didn't know that he had a department store and whatever. But of course, Genevieve, you would know more about that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was down at
the history of Midland in your mind.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
so I don't have any there wasn't any information as to who owned the hat or whatever, but I think it's interesting enough that it came from that store.
For sure. All right, Genevieve, so what do you have for today? Okay, well, the artifact that I've brought in, it's related to the model of St. James on the Lines that you have been talking about.
Oh,
just before
we've exchanged towns this morning.
So what I have here, this artifact that makes me happy, is related to the Howland family. The Reverend Howland, he had a number of kids. Off the top of my head, to be honest, I can't tell you how many, but he encouraged them all to I guess record or write about the world around them, either writing, capture it all on paper, either through their diaries or through artwork. So what I have here is one of the pieces of artwork that makes me happy. Wow.
They're beautiful.
This is by Mary Howland, and I believe it's the Keating House at the military establishment in Penetanguishene. And I just like the exuberance of it. And what we really like here at the museum are these two. Right here, we've got a little kitty sitting up on the roof of the porch. Aww. And down here in the corner, there is a little dog.
All right.
Around. And it's just so true. I mean, cats do that. Cats sit so casually, either, crawl out the second story window up onto the roof of the porch, or you might find the cat down here curled up on a woman's lap. Just enjoying the nice day. It's just such a wonderful painting. And so that whole Howland family really makes me happy. Yeah. We do have a booklet here. I know it comes in other forms. It's Eleanora Howland's diary. She was Mary Howland's younger sister, and they just seem to have so much fun. They would write about the things that they did every day, going tobogganing and skating, and visits that they made while they were here and over in close to when they lived in Aurelia. And in 1841, Eleanora was visiting with her older sister, Sarah, who had married a Mr. Drinkwater. And this is what she writes. "We were very jolly, much to Drinkwater's disgust. He does not like us to enjoy ourselves. He tried to sleep on the sofa, and I made a great noise and sang and clapped my hands right in his ears. The others laughed a lot, but he was very angry and said we were ill-mannered." So anyway, the diaries are so much fun, and they're all full of information like that, just the good times that the kids had. That's an excerpt. You can probably get it at lots of libraries. It's called Eleanor's Diary. And I know that the Library and Archives of Canada also has a huge collection
of Howland material.
Oh, wow.
And a few years ago, anyway, a lot of it was available online. It had been digitized, and you could read excerpts of diaries and look at some of the silly comical doodles that they made, like these ones right here. Eleanor had drawn those. Those are pictures of her younger sisters. So she might not have been as skilled, at least when she was doodling in her diary, but yeah, she did a lot of diaries, or a lot of doodles. At one point, I remember reading, but I couldn't find it in here because I've read this book a number of times, that a girl was coming to visit that she did not like at all. And she drew some rather rude caricatures of this girl, and she wrote pig, pig, pig. So, I mean, I think we can all relate to that feeling sometimes with people you don't like. So anyway.
Yeah. Having read the diary, I did absorb, like, you really absorb the fact that she was quite naughty at times and quite mischievous. Like she had an opinion, and she wasn't afraid to write it down, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Those girls all seemed to. They were very well, they weren't discouraged by their parents from I don't know, showing their true selves, which was really nice. Very refreshing.
Yeah.
You have a copy.
But I think that's
a little different.
It. That's right. Yeah.
That one's out of print now.
That is.
So yours might be the only way to get it is through the publisher that.
I think so. Yeah, this had been published by the Ministry of Education on British Columbia. I had heard that they were considering republishing it last year. Oh yeah. But I don't know whatever came of that. But yeah, so if anyone's interested, go online to the Library and Archives of Canada and check.
Do you have it in your gift shop still?
This is actually the only copy we've got left. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So maybe you don't want to sell it.
Yeah, I was saying that maybe if at the local library they might have this style, because I think this is the original republication of it. We have a couple in my own little library here in my office. So
it's definitely worth a read.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That is kind of funny that we picked something that made us smile, and Jan picked something that came from Midland, and you picked something and we are so close, and so our communities are so close, and so we really admire each other and what we have. And definitely the Howland, Mary Howland's paintings and everything at Huronia Museum, that is definitely one of my favorite things when I visit Huronia Museum. I like to go over there. And there have been reproductions. You see them in lots of different places because it is from, our earlier settler times here. And but you guys have the originals, and that's really, really interesting and fascinating. So what do you have as the theme for next week? I'm forgetting my words.
I was thinking, I got a lot of books for Christmas. So how about something related to books? Local authors, or some interesting books from the collection.
Okay. That'll be a fun one.
Yeah. Definitely. And hopefully, because people probably are looking for books to read right now. We're in the winter season, not lots open. So that's a great one. Well, I guess we won't be talking about Eleanor's diary.
I could go on about it forever, though.
All right, everyone. So we'll see you again next week with our museum show and tell show. Bye.
Bye.